Okay, so I'm going to start at Wikipedia with my topic of hydrofracking. Now, some of you may have been told that you can never use Wikipedia in an academic research paper. That's not true. You can use it to get started. You're not going to use it as an official source in your paper because it's an encyclopedia article, and also there may be issues with bias given that anyone can come in and edit it at any time. But in general, it's a perfectly fine source of information where you can get an overview of your topic. You can find out different aspects of the topic that might help you find that specific focus. It can often help you understand the debate surrounding the issue. And it often has links to references that you can use as additional sources. Now, you are free to use these as long as you evaluate them for credibility, which we'll be talking about later. But here we have 191 sources were used to write that article. So we're going to take that and we're going to go to our library's database. I'm starting on the Mustang Cruiser homepage. I'm going to click on library. Whenever I click on library, I'm going to have to load an unsafe script. Your browser might have this look a little different. Sometimes it's down here or up here. In Google Chrome for the Mac, it's over here. Once you're in, I want you to go to databases N through Z. You can browse around the library's homepage and tools. Later on, we're going to have an exercise on that, but for today, we're just doing preliminary research. And a good place to do that is called Opposing Viewpoints. This is a database on current issues that are often chosen for research topics. There's things that are in the news, things that are open to debate. So let's look up, we'll start with the more common term, hydrofracking. Here's an academic journal article that will give both sides of the issue. Here we've got some newspaper articles. Apparently it's affecting the governor's race in New York. Here's one that might be a good specific focus. Hydrofracking having an effect on water resources in the West. Rendell, I don't know who that is. I assume it's probably a Philadelphia politician. Magazine articles are going to be a little more in-depth than newspaper articles, but they're still good for preliminary research because they will present a topic in depth in a way that's easy to understand. So you'll have a handle on it before you start reading the denser and more technical academic journals that will be part of your research project. Now let's try, so I'm going to remember this. Actually, let's click on this. So here's some additional terms. What I would do at this point is email this to myself or save it or print it out, however you like to work. But you want to have access to this again, maybe without having to search again. So get in the habit of using this stuff. There's also handy-dandy citation tools in all the library databases. So look at that. Here's my works cited page entry in MLA. Okay. Now let's go back here. How do I get out here? Now I want to try, because there wasn't a ton that came up, I want to try the other term. And as you look too, you can see that more terms are coming up here. Horizontal drilling is another term for hydrofracking. Again, here's more on the topic. You think We just want hydraulic fracturing. And here we've got a fair number of academic journals. We've got some viewpoints. Another issue that might be of interest is seismic instability and earthquakes. I've read about that in Oklahoma. Here are some of the academic journals. I wouldn't recommend diving into academic journals. At first, you know, understand the topic and make sure that you want to write about it before you spend the time doing that. Okay. So, I've got a handle on a specific focus, and I have information that this is debatable. So the next place I want to go is Academic Search Premier. This is a good general library database. So I want to search for hydraulic fracturing and I'm going to see what comes up when I do both. So I've got 1,300 articles. One thing I can do is pop that baby up. We still have over 1,000. Last 5 years still gives us over 1,000. Let's limit to full text. Full text means that the resource is in the library, so it's great if you can just get a PDF. Drinking water. Oh, let's just pick one. So if you pick one that sounds like you want it, and this actually seems more related to New York State, you can get these subject terms which can help you further your search or limit what you say this article isn't going to work for me. The abstract is a very short summary of the article, so this looks like it would be useful. Water regulation, different places in the country. This looks like it was written by a law firm, which is interesting too. And here again we have the citation tool, we have print, we have email, we have save. So whenever you come across an article that you might want to use, even if you're not going to read it right now, you want to save it. You don't want to have to come back. I mean, you will need to come back and do additional research, but you don't want to look for the same stuff again. That's a poor use of your time. And it definitely looks like there's plenty of information here. And if I were to write this paper on, the impact of hydraulic fracturing on water resources in the West, not every article would have to be about those two topics together. I might be able to use some general articles that just explain what hydraulic fracturing is, what its benefits are, what its risks are. I might even find some articles that are only about the water supply in the West. So I think I would have no trouble coming up with, say, 10 or so sources for my paper, and I would have no trouble finding at least 2 academic sources. So presuming that I found this topic interesting enough to want to spend the next 12 weeks or so researching it, I could go ahead. Now let's say I didn't. Let's say, nope, that topic is too boring. I want to go back to opposing viewpoints. I can browse this homepage to get some topics that are of interest. What's the 2014 national debate topic? So I guess this is interesting. I might want to think of something in the news, like that football player who beat up his poor fiance. So you can take a broad topic like domestic violence, and you're not just going to write a report on domestic violence. You have to turn it into an argument. And you're not going to have a pro or con on domestic violence. Personally, I don't think I want to read your paper if you think that domestic violence is okay. But just looking at the articles here on the first page, maybe you want to look into what kind of domestic violence programs we have and whether they're good enough, whether they can be improved, whether we can do more as a society to prevent domestic violence. Maybe you want to look at the law enforcement angle. Maybe you want to look at violence in music or hip hop or violence on TV. Maybe you want to look at the NFL or other major organizations. There was recently a judge who beat up his wife. You know, aside from the legal aspect of sending someone to jail, are there some other things that as a society we should do to prevent domestic violence, or how should we react to it? So those are all things that you might start to think about. You can read through these articles, again, see what the debate is, and then go back over to Academic Search Premier and make sure that there are good sources available, and then you could begin to write your topic proposal and have a little bit of a start on researching your paper. Please let me know if you have any questions about this or any trouble with the library. I recommend you start in the library and not on the web. Okay then, that is preliminary research.